Okay, for all new or potential employees, this training video is just something to get you started. You will have a one-on-one training course with one of our technicians. At that point, you can ask any questions or have any comments or any suggestions. Again, welcome aboard to Gaffson Shop. Okay, we're going to talk about spill buckets today and the products that are located on your sites. The facility that we're at today has 3 products in them. If you see here, we have a white covered spill bucket cover. That indicates that this is regular unleaded. The orange bucket is vapor recovery. The center tank in this location is diesel. Diesel is colored green. In this instance, this product bucket is not used. The only stage 2 vapor or stage 1 vapor recovery you have is on unleaded products only. The third tank is color coded red, meaning it has Supreme. These should be inspected on a daily basis. They should be free of liquid and any debris, cigarette butts, leaves, wrappers. Wipe them out, keep them clean. This is a chain for your drain. Drain the product back into the tank. This is the cap. You want to make sure that the gasket is intact and that the ears are connected, that there's no break in the cap. You'll hear the cap snap when it's locked on the fitting. Vapor, the same thing. Its product cap is orange. Want to make sure that the gasket is there and intact, that the cap is not damaged, that the poppet is sealed, and when you put the cap back on, you will hear it snap. There's also a drain valve in the fill buckets. This is not intended to store product. This is just in the event that if the driver spills a little bit disconnecting his hose, that you can drain the product back into the tank. Make sure that the covers are not damaged, cracked, or split. If they're in good shape, please replace the covers. They are traffic rated, so the customers can drive over them. Okay, let's talk about the dispensers. You need to familiarize yourself with how many dispensers you have on your location. At this location, we have 4 dispensers. This product dispenses diesel, regular, plus, and super. Underneath the dispenser is a deflector plate. Some sites may have it, some may not. This is used to prevent any leakage from a filter to exit out of the UDC. It is removable, so you can inspect it. You have your regular product line, your super product line, and your diesel product line. In some dispensers, you will have a UDC sensor, which is this cable located here. It does not care what liquid is in the UDC. It can be gasoline, it can be diesel, it can be water, it can be Coca-Cola. It doesn't care. It's not a discriminatory sensor. It will shut down the dispenser. On certain sites, we have sensors that are tied into the Veeder-Root. At that point, it will shut down the station, all products. That's what it's designed to do. It has a shear valve here. It's got a little trip arm. The little arm that is silver is a fusible link, meaning that if there was a fire that started underneath this dispenser, that link would melt and shut the product off. It's also designed to shear right at this point in the event that somebody runs the dispenser off or over, when it knocks it over, it will shear that valve completely off and shut down. 90% of our sites have ISD. We have a vapor flow meter in here. What that's doing is it's measuring the amount of air to gas ratio that's pumped into a vehicle. This is also tied into your Veeder-Root. Again, here's the flow meter. That's your ISD. And this cable located right here is a sensor going down to the bottom of the UDC, which we discussed earlier. Okay, when you're inspecting your dispensers on a daily basis, you want to take a look at the hanging hardware. You want to make sure that the hoses don't have any crimps in them, any cracks, no flat points, no tears in between the coax hose. If you have a retractor, that the retractor clamp is located and connected to the retractor itself, that the breakaway, that there are no leaks in between our connections here. You want to make sure that the directional flow, which you can see with an arrow pointing there, is flowing in the path of the fuel, meaning going towards the nozzle. The product hose itself, you want to make sure that there are no tears in the coaxial hose. You will see that there is a silver stripe here. On other hoses, there may be what looks like a rubber band. That is the liquid removal point. That has to be closest to the nozzle. So once we've indicated that the hose is in good shape, we're going to take a look at the nozzle. We're going to make sure that there's no leaks in this point. This is where the plunger is that activates the nozzle. That the bellow itself has no tears in it underneath and on the top. That the face seal itself has no tears and is in functional order. That the nozzle spout is tight. Everything checks off. That hose and nozzle has been inspected. Same thing for the diesel. You want to look at the whip hose, your connections here. You can see you have some staining. It's not really considered a leak. The hose itself has got steel braided reinforcement. You want to make sure that there's no cracks or any of the steel cord showing through. Everything looks good. You come up to the swivel, you want to make sure that there's no leaks here. You want to take the nozzle out. You want to take a look at it also. The plunger is located in here, that there are no leaks, that the spout is tight, and there's no obvious leak points on the hanging hardware. You've completed the hanging hardware inspection. In the event of a drive off, it takes 350 inch-pounds to sever that breakaway. So that's what this, pull this apart, 350 inch-pounds. In the event that you do have a drive off, place a rag or a cup or something up into the chute right here to prevent the dispenser from continually running and beeping at the register. Take the hose and the nozzle and place it by the DOT drum outside of the building. Do not bring the hose and nozzle inside the store or into the kitchen area. Okay, let's talk about a spill. We just had a spill here on pump number 3. We've got product on the ground. We want to contain it, so we want to use some grease sweep. What we want to do is use the grease sweep in an area to where we can circularly contain the spill itself. We've got our grease sweep down. We want to take our broom and we want to broom it in back and forth. That's what's going to pick up the product. So once we've got this spill contained and the grease sweep in a pile, we want to sweep it up. Once we've contained it into our little pan here, we have to dispose of it. When disposing of it, we have drums, one liquid, one solid. That's where this used absorbent will go. Not in the trash can, not in the dumpster, not in the planter box. Okay, so now that I had my cleanup spill, I poured it into the drum. If you notice, we have 2 drums here. One is a closed top drum, one is an open top drum. The open top drum is for solid items, such as the kitty litter that we just cleaned up off the fuel island. This is also where you'd place used hoses, damaged breakaways, filters will go in this drum. There's a combination lock on the drum. Ask your manager for the combination so you can deposit the items in here. The liquid drum has got a 2-inch opening on the top. That is for liquid only. Anything that you pump out of the spill buckets, the UDCs, the STP sumps, the fill sumps, that would go in this drum. If you notice, there's a label on here. This should be clear and marked as Gas and Shop, your site's address, your site zip code, the state, and the phone number of your facility. The other items that we need to fill in here, which is crucial, is the accumulation date. The accumulation date is when you introduce product into the drum, when it's empty. We have 6 months from that date to remove this drum and have it recycled at a hazardous waste facility. So keep an eye on that. If you notice that your drum is getting full, or if the drum itself is damaged in any way, you can contact our maintenance department. Again, it's crucial that you fill these labels out. These are one of the things that the inspectors are going to look at, and it's something that you need to keep this area clean and free of debris. This is the Veeder-Root panel. This is what I've referred to earlier in overfill alarm conditions. This will alarm. It will also put out a tape. It should be saying all functions normal. In the event of alarm, it will display on the panel what the alarm condition is, whether you need a delivery or you've got a sensor that's in alarm. You can test it by pressing the red button. You'll see that all three lights illuminate: the red, the yellow, and the green. Green light should be on at all times. That indicates that the unit has power. Yellow light is a warning light only, meaning that you may need a delivery or you have a hose alarm condition. These are items that we'll go over with you on a person-to-person basis. The red alarm means that you do have an alarm condition, either a sensor, or you have a tank and alarm, or you have an ISD alarm. In the event of any one of these alarms or warnings, when you get a printout like this, remove the tape and just hand that to your manager, make him aware of what's going on. These also need to be logged, and when we go to person-to-person training, we'll go over what procedures we need to follow from that point on. The other thing that we'd like you to be aware of is where the circuit breaker panels are located. There may be more than one circuit breaker panel at your facility. They should be labeled. In this case, we know that this one is the gas equipment only. This one here is lighting. This is the main panel, and then there are sub panels. Again, when we go over your in-person training, we'll go over all those locations and what each panel does. In the previous videos, we've showed you pictures of where your permits are located. Each facility, they're located in a different location, so familiarize yourself with where they're located, and they should be posted in plain view. If they're not, you need to contact your manager and have them correct that issue. We also showed you a picture of the red binder. That's a binder that the designated operator uses on a monthly basis when he comes to do an inspection at your facility. It's also where we put our work orders. If we had to make any repairs at your facility, the technician should be leaving a work order indicating what repairs were made on that date. Another video slide that we showed you was the all stop on the register. Don't be confused. The all stop only kills the credit card portion of the dispenser. We always want to refer to the emergency shutoff switch to shut down the site in the event of emergency. Again, I can't emphasize enough on this. Familiarize yourself with where the emergency shutoff switch is located at your facility. If you can't locate it, ask your manager. If your manager is not aware of where it's located, well, then you're going to see me. I'm going to have to come out and train you and show you where these things are at. The other item that we need you to be familiarized with is the location of fire extinguishers at your facility. And when we go over our in-person training, we'll demonstrate to you how a fire extinguisher is used. Okay, so we've had a spill. It's a large spill. We want to contain it as best that we can with the absorbent, using the absorbent to pour around the spill. In the event of a catastrophic spill, we want to prevent this spill from entering the street, so we're going to use the kitty litter as a dam. If we have customers that are parked underneath the canopy, we'd ask them not to be driving through it or walking through it along with yourself. Try to contain it as best as possible. If the spill is overwhelming and it's heading towards the street, we need you to call 911. We get the fire department out here. They're equipped for larger spills in that area. Any customers that are parked underneath the canopy, please ask them to walk away from their vehicles, shut them off, and congregate at a safe point at the station. If a spill or a fire, earthquake, or whatever, emergency shutoff switch. It's located here. Each site has an emergency shutoff switch. You need to familiarize yourself on where it's located. It looks like a regular light switch on off. The off position will stop the flow of fuel. At some of our sites we have an overfill annunciator. That's for the delivery drivers to notify them that they're at 90% on the tank. It has an audible and visual alarm. That's what you're going to hear when the driver hits the 90% level on the tank. It will also alarm at the Veeder-Root panel and print out an overfill condition. In the event of the overfill alarm, if you're in the area or in the working area where the driver is, make sure that he acknowledges that he's overfilled the tank and can shut off his compartments and stop the delivery of product to that tank. Okay, so the first topic we talked about were the location of your tanks, the products, and the spill buckets, how they need to be clean and free of liquid and any debris. The second thing that we talked about were the locations of your dispensers, the products that they dispense, and the under dispenser containment units, including the shear valves and sensor locations. Next product or item that we spoke about was your hanging hardware, doing your daily inspection and your weekly inspection, checking for damage, leaks, crimps, cuts, tears, and anything else that may obstruct the proper use of the nozzle. The other item that we talked about were spills. In the event of a spill, what we're using to clean up the spill with and where that excess product goes. The grease sweep, kitty litter, whatever you want to refer to it as, cannot be disposed of into the trash or into the dumpster. It has to go into the DOT drum. When we get into our person-to-person training, we'll go over this more in depth. And we'll ask if you have any questions. The next item that we talked about was the location of the Veeder-Root console and any alarm conditions that may be present and how to report those alarms. The next item that we talked about is the location of your permits and binders. The binders have all the pertinent information that a regulatory agency or an inspector will request to look at. In the event that an inspector does come in and wants to review your binders, please refer them to your manager. The last information that we talked about, or we actually were showing a video, is the location of fire extinguishers. The signage that's there. If the fire extinguisher in your facility does not have any signage, a sticker indicating where it's located, please notify your manager, and we in maintenance will make sure that the signage is installed correctly. On our person-to-person video, we will demonstrate to you the safe and proper way of using a fire extinguisher.